Hey, good morning, everybody. Lee Brower here, and welcome to this week's edition of Meaningful Monday. I am grateful to be here, and I am glad to be here. You know, there's a quote that I just love from Dieter F. Uchtdorf. It says, "You don't have to wait for the rainbow to enjoy the rain." And most of us say, "Give me the rainbow, then I'll be grateful." But that sentence, "You don't have to wait for the rainbow to enjoy the rain," stops me every time. Because most of us are living in that backwards equation, wanting for our circumstances to change before we allow ourselves the feelings that we actually want. But what's neuroscience telling us? It's telling us that the brain gets used to what we repeat. Gratitude isn't just a response to good things, it's an actual skill. It's like any skill, and it can be trained. Research shows that consistent gratitude practices literally reshape the neural pathways. Excuse me. We can learn to find the rainbow in the rain, not as a coping mechanism, but as a genuine rewiring of how the brain processes experience. You know that small strip of tissue right behind your forehead? It's called the prefrontal cortex. It's the seat of creativity, empathy, moral judgment, intuition, compassion, all those things that the other animals in the animal kingdom don't have, nor computers, AI, nor robots. That's us. Everything, though, it's the well, let me say it's the seat of creativity, of empathy, moral judgment, intuition, compassion. Everything we most need from our leaders and from us as leaders, and it responds directly to what we practice. Chronic stress, habitual negativity, complaining suppresses it. But gratitude, reflection, and constructive thinking arrows out, strengthens it. You see, and the human brain has a built-in negative bias, by the way. It's called the amygdala. It's back here. It's more sensitive to what's wrong than what's right. But I mean, which helped our ancestors survive, but it can keep us stuck, kind of keep us stuck in complaint today. Gratitude doesn't deny the storm. It changes the mind we bring into the storm. We don't have to wait for the rainbow to enjoy the rain. That's a mindset shift. And when we have that shift, we actually become the kind of people who can help others find their rainbow right in the middle of it. The brain you're building by how you think is the brain you'll lead with. So that brings me to a question that I keep sitting with. Look at much of our visible leadership today: the chronic outrage, the reactive posturing, the complaint without construction. You know, so a leader whose inner and outer world is dominated by chronic negative framing may literally be training their brain away from the circuitry that supports the wise, compassionate, creative judgment. In other words, it's wiring it away from the preclinical cortex, it's wiring it away back into this area. So this is actually shrinking. And even if they started with these strong gifts. So could it be, and I ask this as a genuine question, not a political one, could it be that some of our most prominent leaders are unknowingly diminishing the very capacities we need from them most? The creativity to imagine what hasn't been tried, the empathy to hold more than one reality at once, the moral imagination to lead not just for today, but for the generations that are following and watching. And I think that's worth taking seriously. So today's ripple, here's what I want you to take away today. Not just a thought, but as something that you can use. The next time someone brings you a result that missed the mark, or the next time you see something going on in your family, something's going on. This is a question you can use at home, at work, and everywhere. When the time when you want to tell somebody they did something wrong, instead try this question. If you had the chance to live this over, what might you do to make it even better? See what happens when you do that. Now you can rephrase that a little bit. You might just say, knowing what you know now, if you had the chance to live this over, what might you do to make it even better? It could be kids fighting. It could be all kinds of, there's a whole bunch of, write this sentence down and then make it yours. You see, the word even too is very important. It presupposes that the experience had value. Now only do that if the experience had some value. If two kids are fighting, then you can get into it. But it opens the door to creative and generative thinking. It bypasses the brain's threat response, moves it to here. So you're not just redirecting a conversation, you're rewiring both of you at the same time. So that's my challenge. That's my ripple of the week. For all you ripple makers out there, work on that question. I'm curious to see how it goes for you. And when you do this, you're creating ripples you'll never fully see. Some of them will land in generations you'll never meet. Well, at least in this life. Have a meaningful week. We'll talk next week. Bye bye.